Have you ever stood in the water aisle at the grocery store? It can feel overwhelming. You see rows upon rows of bottles, all promising pure, clean hydration. There are so many choices. You might see labels like artesian, filtered, alkaline, and more. Two of the most common types you will find are spring water and distilled water. They sound simple enough, yet they represent two very different philosophies of what water should be. This choice is more than just about brand names or fancy packaging. It's a fundamental question about what we want from the most essential substance we put into our bodies every single day. On one side, you have spring water. The name itself brings to mind images of pristine nature. We think of water bubbling up from a protected underground source, filtered naturally through layers of rock. This process allows the water to pick up beneficial minerals along its journey. Proponents of spring water argue that this is water as nature intended it. They believe these natural minerals are not just safe, but essential for our health. On the other side of the debate is distilled water. This is water in its purest chemical form, H2O. The process of distillation involves boiling water into steam, and then condensing it back into a liquid, leaving behind minerals, contaminants, and any other dissolved solids. Supporters of distilled water see this purity as its greatest strength. They argue that we should get our minerals from food, not from water. For them, the primary job of water is to hydrate and cleanse the body, a task best performed by water that is free of any extra baggage. Spring water relies on a very different mechanism for its purity, the natural filtration provided by the earth itself. As water from rain and snowmelt percolates down through layers of soil, clay, sand, and rock, it undergoes a slow and extensive cleaning process. This geological journey can take years or even decades, providing ample time for natural purification to occur. Industrial distillation harnesses and speeds up that principle in a controlled setting. The process begins by boiling source water, tap water, spring water, seawater. As it turns to steam, it leaves behind dissolved substances. The pure steam is captured and channeled into a cooling system. The steam cools and condenses back into liquid. The most significant difference between spring water and distilled water lies in their mineral content. This is measured by a metric called total dissolved solids, or TDS. Distilled water has a TDS level that is extremely low, often approaching 0 parts per million. In contrast, spring water has a TDS level that can vary widely. It can range from as low as 50 parts per million to over 500 parts per million, depending on the geology of its source. These minerals give each brand its unique flavor profile. Another important chemical characteristic is the pH level. Distilled water, pure H2O, should be pH 7.0, but exposed to air, it absorbs carbon dioxide, which lowers pH to about 5.5 to 6.9. Spring water usually sits neutral to slightly alkaline, about 7.0 to 8.5. That alkalinity comes from dissolved minerals, especially bicarbonates. When we consider the safety of our drinking water, distilled water presents its strongest case. The process of distillation is exceptionally effective at removing a vast spectrum of impurities. The high temperatures required to boil water are sufficient to kill most bacteria, viruses, and protozoan cysts like Giardia and Cryptosporidium. Spring water relies on natural filtration, but this has its limits. It is generally very good at removing particulate matter and many types of bacteria, but far less effective against dissolved chemical contaminants. Pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, industrial solvents, and waste from landfill sites can pose a significant threat to spring water sources. In recent years, our understanding of water safety has expanded to include new contaminants like microplastics, tiny plastic particles less than 5 millimeters in size. Another major concern is PFAS, per- and polyfluoroalkyl substances, often called forever chemicals because they are extremely persistent and do not break down easily. One of the central arguments revolves around minerals. Proponents of spring water emphasize that it provides a natural source of essential minerals like calcium, magnesium, and potassium. However, the counter-argument questions the significance of this contribution, noting that the quantity of minerals in most spring waters is relatively small compared to what we get from a balanced diet. Beyond simple mineral content, we must consider electrolytes. Since spring water naturally contains these minerals in dissolved form, it can aid in more effective rehydration, especially during or after exercise. The presence of these electrolytes helps the body absorb and retain water more effectively, leading to better rehydration. Long-term epidemiological studies suggest that regular consumption of mineral-rich water may be linked to better bone density and lower rates of heart disease. Minerals like magnesium help maintain steady heart rhythm and relax blood vessels, potentially offering cardiovascular protection. While the choice may be marginal for healthy people, it can be significant for certain at-risk groups. For infants, distilled or purified water is often recommended for mixing formula to prevent mineral overload. Individuals with compromised kidney function may need to limit certain minerals, making distilled water potentially safer than mineral-rich spring water. Athletes and people in physically demanding jobs lose significant electrolytes through sweat. For them, mineral-rich spring water can help prevent cramps and hyponatremia. People with compromised immune systems need to prioritize water safety above all else. Distilled water's sterility provides the highest level of microbial purity. So, how do you make a practical decision? The best choice often depends on your individual circumstances, priorities, and where you live. Let's create some simple decision rules. If your top priority is absolute purity, then distilled water is a very strong choice. If you are an active person, athlete, or live in a hot climate, spring water may be the better option for daily hydration due to its natural electrolytes. For many, the most practical solution may lie with filtered tap water, offering a sustainable, cost-effective middle ground that removes contaminants while potentially retaining beneficial minerals. Ultimately, be flexible. Use distilled for appliances or detox protocols, spring after workouts, and filtered tap for everyday drinking. The key is to be an informed consumer. Understand pros and cons, know your hydration goals, and choose accordingly. The conversation around water is filled with persistent myths. One pervasive myth: distilled water leaches essential minerals from your body, but a healthy body's regulatory systems aren't easily overwhelmed. Another myth: all spring water is perfectly pure because it comes from nature. Purity depends on the source and bottling process, not just natural origin. Moving past myths, the scientific evidence shows that for most healthy people, any safe, clean water will hydrate effectively. Distilled, spring, or filtered tap water. The most important thing is to drink enough water throughout the day. Consistency is far more important than the specific type of water you choose. What are the clear, actionable takeaways? First, assess your personal situation. If you have specific health concerns, discuss your water choice with your doctor. Second, become a label detective. Read the information, identify the source, look for third-party certifications from organizations like NSF International. Third, invest in your home water supply. A high-quality water filter gives you control over daily hydration while reducing plastic waste. Finally, listen to your body. Your experience is a valuable guide. Build a hydration habit that's healthy, enjoyable, and sustainable. Combine scientific knowledge with personal awareness to move beyond marketing hype and choose for long-term health and vitality. True wellness begins with these informed decisions. By understanding the specific benefits and potential drawbacks of each water type, you can make an informed choice every time you reach for a glass.